Hi, welcome. This is the first Culture Mavens of 2021. I'm here with Rabbi Susan Nanus, and so happy to see you, Susan. How are you?
I'm good. Happy New Year. I feel like we need more things to watch than ever because the stay-at-home order is really important right now. And the only way to keep sane is to, I think, divert ourselves when we're not working or taking care of, or for me, cleaning or whatever, is to, watch something that uplifts us. So we're going to share this week what we watched over the weekend, the long weekend. Some of the things we recommended and then we hadn't seen, some we discovered that we think you're going to really like. And Tom, I'm going to hand it over to you for the blockbuster.
I'm going to talk about Wonder Woman 1984, and I'm sorry to say this was a big disappointment. The first one was so good and so enjoyable, and of course, it's just a thrill and a pleasure to see Gal Gadot. This version is not as strong as the first one, unfortunately. It's probably best that you can watch it at home streaming, if at all.
I heard that Gal Gadot got a lot of backlash and anti-Semitic comments because she's Israeli, and apparently she saved some Egyptian children in the story. And she's had to put up with a lot of unfortunate comments about her being Israeli.
That is true. When the film opened, the first film opened, Lebanon would not show Wonder Woman because she was in it. And recently there's been talk of her playing Cleopatra.
Right.
And that also was criticized internationally. She's one of those actresses like Julia Roberts that when she smiles, you smile. There's no stopping her, but this film is not the best.
We were going to talk about Bridgerton, which we both recommended or we had read about and hadn't seen yet. So Bridgerton is based on a romance novel adapted and produced by Shonda Rhimes. It's visually gorgeous. The colors are beautiful. The clothes are beautiful. The people are very beautiful. And the interesting point that she made is she unearthed a fact that the Queen of England at the time, who was George III's wife, may have been partially African. And so she cast her as an African woman. The hero is a Black man, very handsome, and the heroine is white. So there's a lot of that, a mixing of the races in the aristocracy, which we've never seen before. The plots, however, are, for my taste, a little fluffy, is how I would put it.
So far, it is entertaining, and it is something you can watch with pleasure and still do your emails while it's on. And it's fun to see a show that has these contemporary actors in this setting.
I agree with you. Taking place in the same time is the new Emma, which was made in 2020 on HBO Max, which is unbelievably enjoyable and wonderful. It's directed by this very interesting woman photographer named Autumn de Wilde, and she wears a fedora. This is the director. I looked her up. She's an amazing photographer, and the whole film is visually stunning and really funny. I've never laughed.
It's a funny book.
The father of Emma is Bill Nye.
Oh, he's always great.
He's great, and he is a hypochondriac of the 10th degree, which they play up, which is so funny. It's wonderful. The acting is fantastic. It's visually beautiful.
I've so much enjoyed the Gwyneth Paltrow one.
So much better. This is so
I'm really looking forward to this. And of course, the greatest Emma adaptation was Clueless.
Right.
Yeah. So that's great.
Then I found something else that's absolutely, this is all about laughing and diversion, and it's called Staged. I actually read a rave review in the LA Times, and it stars Michael Sheen. If you know, he played, Tony Blair, Queen, and David Tennant, who's unbelievable. And they're playing themselves, and they're at home, and they're bored out of their minds. You see their wives, their their relationship with their kids. And this crazy director, who in reality is the director and writer of this piece, but he plays himself too, convinces them they should rehearse a play on Zoom. They're just fighting about credits and talking about things and competing. And it's so funny. And ultimately, at the end, this doesn't ruin anything. They're so misbehaving that the director has to call in Judi Dench to yell at them. It's really well written and so witty.
Well,
and
I have a guilty pleasure to recommend, The Flight Attendant with Kaylee Cuoco. She stars as a flight attendant who is sort of leading a quite dissolute life. She's probably an alcoholic. She goes out and parties too much, and she meets a guy, and the next morning she wakes up in his hotel room in Bangkok, and he's in the bed next to her with his throat slit. Zosia Mamet, who you might remember from Girls, plays her best friend, who's an attorney, and defends her. It's really well done. Kaylee Cuoco is really good in it. It's fun. It's fun to watch.
I wasn't going to watch it, but now after what you described, I'm going to definitely watch it. I didn't know I thought it was, I don't know, sillier than that, but it sounds like it's clever and entertaining. So I'm going to watch it. So I noticed that everything I'm recommending this week is all British. I'm a real Anglophile, and of course I love drama too. And I have two dramatic shows to recommend. One is a PBS film. It's called Elizabeth is Missing.
Oh, yeah.
And it stars Glenda Jackson, who is now 84 years old. And I actually went back and looked at photos of her. She was such a beautiful woman and sexy woman when she was younger.
But even as an older woman, she was great in Hopscotch with Walter Matthau, one of my favorite movies.
Right. And I didn't remember this, that in 1992, she retired from acting to run for Parliament. And she worked in Tony Blair's government for 15 years. Brilliant acting. It got rave reviews in England. And it's just a real tour de force for her. It's wonderful. And then finally, for all of us who love, detective and police procedurals, and I loved Law and Order. I liked Law and Order Special Victims, but I really liked Law and Order for years and years. I don't know if people know this, but there was, for 5 seasons, Law and Order UK. It took place in London with the Crown Prosecuting Service and the police. And it's now on IMDb, which is a free streaming service, though they do have commercials. The episodes are really interesting and it's fun. It's got that same, da-da sound. I mean, it is Law and Order. But
and do you recognize a lot of like in Law and Order, they always put like playwrights as judges and,
yes,
great actors that you recognize from other things.
Yes. In fact, the woman lieutenant who runs the police part is Harriet Walter.
Oh, okay.
Incredible actress. And one of the Crown prosecutors is Ben Daniel. It's another actor that we've seen in many, many British shows. So if you like Law and Order UK, it's a lot of fun.
Well, I'm going to close this installment with a sweet note, which is that Disney Pixar released Soul on Disney Plus. It's the first Disney Pixar movie to have a Black lead. It's a very sweet story about finding your true purpose in life. Most of the movie is somewhat, you could call it philosophical, because it deals with souls and how souls become people. It's lovely. And the music, some of it's by John Batiste, who you may know from the Stephen Colbert Show. And Jamie Foxx voices the lead. It's really a very sweet movie that I recommend for these somewhat stressful times we live in.
That's a very Jewish concept, that the soul chooses the person that it will inhabit. The Kabbalah teaches that the soul chooses 40 days before the child is conceived.
I'll look to you, Susan, to tell us what you think philosophically about the movie after you've watched it, and whether it conforms or diverges from some of what you've read about the soul.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it.
And with that, I guess I will mention, speaking of souls, Rabbi Leader has a new book out that is about death. And so I guess next week I will talk a little bit about that, because I'm going to try and review it this week.
And I've read it, and we can both talk about it next week.
Yes. You know, it was inspired by a sermon that he gave a couple of Yom Kippurs ago. So it will resonate for many congregants. There you go.
On that note, everybody, please stay safe.
Yep.
Please.
Bye.